Greetings everybody, Zed here. So apparently patch 4.8 has just dropped, and apparently they have nerfed our boy Neuvillette. Now, the way I play Neuvillette, I didn't really even notice this change at all. When I play Neuvillette, usually all I do is I just, I get his charge attack up and going, and then I sort of just like kind of wiggle a little bit and kill enemies sort of within like a 90-degree arc. Apparently before patch 4.8, it was possible to fully spin your Neuvillette in a full 360-degree circle and hit every enemy around you. Now, I never personally did this, and so I don't have any personal knowledge about how that works because I just haven't done that before.
Settle down.
But apparently it was a thing. Apparently it's a thing you could do. You could, if you were a mouse and keyboard player, you could change your settings, and you could go in and you could make your mouse sensitivity super high so that you could just spin really quickly. I tried this in patch 4.8. I could not replicate it, obviously, because they fixed it. But I tried to make it happen and see if I could do it, and I couldn't do it. Even with my mouse sensitivity super high, this is the furthest I could spin. Now, my Nahida just died there, but it's interesting because with Nahida, you can do this. Like, if I hold E with Nahida, I can spin super quickly, right? I can just spin and spin and spin, and she goes full tilt. She can hit every enemy around her. And I think that's fully legitimate, right? I think you should fully be able to do that. Nahida's E really only tags enemies. It's not like a crazy damage dealing ability. It's to me it seems fine that she can do that. My personal opinion with Neuvillette is that Hoyo kind of made the right decision in a sense. Like, being able to spin with Neuvillette in a full circle like that and hit everything around you, I don't think that was fully intended by Hoyo. I do think it is a little too powerful. Like, the whole point is that he has this powerful stream in a straight line in front of him, and that's the whole thing with positioning. You're supposed to position yourself in a way where you can hit every single enemy in a straight line in front of you, and I think that's how, from a strategic perspective, that makes full sense. Like, just hitting every enemy around you does seem a little too strong. Now, having said that, where I think Hoyo went fully wrong, we're going to do a restart here. Where I think Hoyo went fully wrong is that they basically waited too long to fix it. I think if Neuvillette came out day 1 and they made this change on like day 7, they're like, wait a minute. Players found this sort of exploit, and they are way too strong with Neuvillette with this exploit. We gotta fix this. And they made this change immediately. I think that would have been fine. Like, I think the player base could have digested that change, saw as fair, and been okay with it. But having Neuvillette out for over 6 months now, I forget exactly what patch he came out. I think it's patch 4.2, 4.3, somewhere in that. He's been out for over 6 months for sure. You can't make that change that late. He's already had a second banner, for God's sakes. You can't make that change that late after people have spent that much money on him. I mean, I'm a whale. I know what that's like to spend thousands of dollars on a character and have them be nerfed. People have spent that much money on it, and he's been out for that long. I just don't think that's a change you can fairly make. Now, the Chinese community went up in arms over this, and I really think that Hoyo only responds to what the Chinese community does, which is a whole other topic that we could talk about another time. But the Chinese community went up in arms. They basically went as far as to petition the Chinese government as a fraud case against Hoyo, saying, you can't do this. You can't, after we spent this much money on this character, you can't make this change. And Hoyo basically has taken a step back, and they've agreed to re-roll Neuvillette back to his former glory, which is great, and give us 1,600 Primo Gems, which is actually kind of crazy if you think about it.
The Temple of Wisdom.
I can't believe they gave us 1,600 free Primogems. I really, truly think that's actually kind of insane. The closest thing I can think of as a comparison is, remember when Yaimiko came out and they straight up changed Yaimiko's totems to behave differently? I don't remember the exact details, but I think it was something like Yaimiko's totems went from targeting random enemies to targeting the closest target that they could target. I don't remember if it was to Yaimiko, within respect to Yaimiko, or if it was within respect to each totem individually, but it ended up being a nerf to Yaimiko, because it's actually better for Yaimiko to just kind of randomly, haphazardly target different enemies, right?
Everyone hold hands.
So that's kind of the closest thing I can think of where Hoyo made a mistake, changed a character, made her worse. The player base complained about it, and then Hoyo said, "Whoa, okay, we're gonna take a step back here, put her back to her normal mode of operandi, basically, modus operandi, I should say." Now, the interesting thing about that is they did not give us 1,600 Primogems when they made that mistake, right? They did not give us that many Primogems. So why now? Why that many Primogems now? This is a free 10 pull. This is unprecedented. Hoyo has never given us a full straight up 10 pull for this, which is crazy. Actually kind of crazy. Now, when Withering Waves came out, we're going to kind of pivot here. When Withering Waves came out, I have to admit, like, a lot of players were saying, oh, you know, at the time, Hoyo was making a lot of quality of life changes to Genshin. And a lot of people were saying, oh, Hoyo's doing this because they know that Withering Waves is good competition. And I have to admit, when people were making that argument about Withering Waves on its release, I was a bit skeptical of that thought process. Like, I didn't actually think that Hoyo was feeling threatened enough to make these changes because of Withering Waves or because they were seeing other forms of competition in the gacha space. I did not think that. But after this change, I've got to say, I'm still not fully convinced, but the needle has moved for me. The needle has absolutely moved. I'm actually sort of kind of believing that maybe Hoyo is feeling, maybe not threatened, but they're at least taking players' considerations into account more in a way they never have before. I mean, a full 10 pull is huge, right? So I think that's it. I think, you know, I'm not saying Hoyo's like, oh my god, our game is going to implode if we do not placate to the player base immediately. But I do think they're being a little more sensitive now to what players are thinking and feeling in regards to their game. And I think that's great. I think that's honestly great. The players are speaking up. They're speaking up with their wallets, which I think is fantastic. They're telling Hoyo, you know, you need to placate to us a little bit about these things because we're not going to stand for it anymore. And I fully support that. All right, guys, I think that's everything I have to say about the Neuvillette situation. Everyone, enjoy your free 10 pull. I am excited for that. I know, even as a whale, I love free primos. I'm always exploring, trying to find every last free primo I can, doing every single event. Even though I whale, I still love the free primos. So enjoy your free 10 pull. I know I will. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I will see you in the next one.